Welcome to this wonderful Wednesday. Let's start with a prayer. Let's pray for the saints. We kind of missed them on All Saints Day as we concentrated on All Souls Day on Monday after Halloween. Monday after Halloween. And the day after Halloween, the Sunday, was All Saints Day. So we just thank them for their inspiration and their sacrifice and their love of God, for their missionary work and their martyrdom. We thank St. Patrick, our patron saint of our school, St. Mary and Joseph, the mother and dad of Jesus, St. Anne, the grandmother of Jesus, the gospel writers, and everyone who is anointed as saint, Mother Teresa, and future saints and past saints. We just hope that we are inspired and we follow in your footsteps and we spread the word of God by our words and by our actions. And we know that this will make the world a wonderful place and make our life a wonderful life. Amen. Okay, so here are some of the announcements for this period. That's correct. Everyone go to page 11, please. This is the homework that I assigned last night. Number 5 on the top. And again, those negative signs need to be correct. So first off, when you do number 5, y equals negative x subtract 2, you should realize this is a line. So you're going to get a line when you graph your points and connect the dots. Put arrows at the end and label the line. Don't forget to do A. That's a sneaky question again because everyone goes, sorry, not everyone, but you're tempted to go to the table first. And there's a question A here, just like you have to draw the next 2 diagrams and toothpicks and so forth. Here, they ask you for the independent and dependent variables, so don't forget to answer that question. They do a nice job of showing their work. For negative, remember the negative sign. Where is this guy? The negative sign here has to stay out in front. Whoa, that's bad. Stay out in front, and then when your input is negative, you have to put another negative. So a negative negative is a positive 3. 3 subtract 2 is 1. And that's how you get all these guys. Okay, so let's move back over there. So once we get those points, we plot them. Sorry, did I give you enough time to see those points? Negative 3, 1, negative 1, 1, negative 1, negative 1, sorry, 0, negative 2, and 1, negative 3. Plot those 4 points, and you get that wide blackened arrow. And good job writing the arrows, but they also need to label the line to get full marks. So please don't forget to do that. AE says use the graph. Yeah, this is getting even better. Use a graph when x equals 5. Make sure you go to x equals 5. X is along the horizontal axis. So that's 5 to the right, not 5 up. That would be y equals 5. And then you either go up or down until you hit the graph and go to the other axis. It says negative 7, so y equals negative 7. That point, you might want to write it down, is 5, negative 7, where x equals 5 and y equals negative 7. Use the equation, you betcha. H, use the graph. When y equals 0, well, y equals 0 means the origin. And where does the graph hit y equals 0? Oh, x equals negative 2. Okay, so y equals 0 is 0 up. That means the y-axis. Where does the graph hit the y-axis? That's y equals 0. So negative 2, 0. Use a graph when x is equal, sorry, what's the value of x when y equals 4? So 4 up. That means the graph is 4 up. That's right here. And again, we hit the graph and go straight down, and we see that x equals negative 6. So that point is negative 6, 4. That is negative 2, 0. And is it a linear relation? Yes, it is. It's a line. Don't forget that question, so I can give you full marks. Okay, next is page 12 on your handout. Number 6, Aruni. Again, ask that A question. Don't miss it. And you should see when you see an x squared in your equation, you should think parabola, either up or down. And if there's a negative in front of x squared, we'll learn that more in grade 11, it faces down. What am I looking for? Well, if it's not a parabola, it's one of these that are wrong. Well, how do you do these ones? Right, every single time? You put the negative signs in brackets, and then punch this all in your calculator to get negative 10. Dang it, I can't see it. So negative 6. So, sorry, negative decimal 5 bracket. Negative 6 is the first point. Keep it in brackets. Then your x squared. And then plus 8. That's how you punch it into your calculator, and your calculator will get it right every single time. So there's your negative 10. It's the exact same thing you do for these guys, and the zeros and the positives are a little easier, but still keep them in brackets to get into good habit. Once you have these points here, you put them on the graph, 2, 4, 6 points, and then connect them the best you can. I'll let you look those points and correct if you don't have them. Write down the proper points and calculate them later with your calculator. Must be a line or parabola, no zigzags. Zigzags means you did the point wrong. Almost always the negative signs. Okay, so then we get C here. We plot the points. And we add the arrows. Sometimes they do a good job, sometimes they don't. And we label a line y equals negative decimal 5 x squared. Did I say line? Label the parabola plus 8 on either end of the arrow. And sometimes it says use the equation. So it's just like doing a table of values. And sometimes it says use the graph. Ay, ay, ay. Use the graph. That's my dad's. Ay, ay, ay. So if x equals 6, there's x equals 6, 6 to the right. Where does it hit the y? 6 to the right. Use a plot of points and table to predict the value of y when x equals 6. This is x equals 6, and that's where we get 10. So right there, go down to hit the graph, and there's the point 6, negative 10. The equation verifies that. This is a nonlinear, also known as quadratic. And I like this one, use the graph in H star H. Remember what I said, I believe yesterday, is that just because I ask you for x, y intercepts, you can expect to have more than one x and y intercept. in several questions. And in this case, when y equals 3.5, or when the graph is 3.5 units high, there are 2 points, and that's positive, -3. So 2 points when y is 3.5 units high, 3, 3.5, and -3, 3.5, because this parabola is symmetrical. And again, star that. When you end up getting to this point, x squared equals 9. Square root of 9 equals positive, negative. 2 answers, 2 answers, 2 answers. How did you get that? Well, they went with the plus. I wouldn't do it that way. I would subtract 8 on both sides. And then you're going to get -4.5 equals negative, don't worry about that part, and then divide by -0.5. So that not just the numbers, the negative sides cancel as well. And you get that, then you get x squared equals 9, and the square root of 9 equals positive -3. Dun dun dun. Going to number 7. Long questions. I'm not going to ask you 10 of these, but expect some of them. Okay, there we go. Here's number 7. So this is top page 13. Let's see if we can zoom in a bit. Beauty. Don't just ignore all these 1, 2, 3s here. They might be asking you for independent, dependent. Don't just look at the table and expect to know what you know. Now, these tables aren't really full, but I'll give you all the x's. And if I don't, then just choose 2 negatives, 0, and 2 positives. If I ask you to graph a line with an ordered pair or table of values. But most time I'll provide the table of values. And tomorrow, I'll try to remember to put -3, exactly what they have, -3, -1, 0, 1, 3, in that guy. And as far as this goes, they don't really show anything for work. So I'll show you the one negative here. If x equals -3, y equals, there's a negative out in front, so leave it out in front, bracket. And now x equals -3, so I put -3 in brackets. And then I add 3. I missed my 2 here. There's a -2 there. So 6 plus 3 equals 9. Similarly, -2 times -1 plus 3 equals 5. And those are your points. And you should be able to understand why this student didn't get full marks on their answer. And good job. They need to label the line on one end of the arrow. Everything else, wonderful. And like I said, read, because they ask you if it's linear or nonlinear. So you do have to answer number 3. Okay, here comes the next one. I didn't, yeah, I guess I gave you, no, I gave you -4 here instead of -6. So if you had -4, that's what I gave you, not -6. So 0.5 times -4 is -2. Subtract 8. So you should have a -10 in there. So -4. Why don't I just stick with -6? Never mind. I'm just going to stick with -6. And you don't have to worry about what I did in red. So let's get rid of that. Okay. So I'll just stick with 6. And hopefully you know nothing about -4. Once again, it's a line. There's an x. That x squared, it'd be a parabola. And label this guy y equals 0.5x, which is a half x. Subtract Frosty. Woo! Get it? Got it. Good. Here's number 8 on the top of page 14. There you go. Oh, we had C there. Kind of a cute question. Number 9. That's my definition of cute anyway. And for C, the outputs means the y-axis. That is not horizontal, it's vertical. And this one, what do? Well, sometimes you might on a test not know what to do, so you got to do something. Can't leave it blank. That's not trying hard. It says input is 4. I love this. Input means x. Is means equals, as discussed on the tricky word problems, or other word problems that we did. So x equals 4, so wherever you see x, you put 4, and that's as an exponent. And I'm not going to write it again. They do that right there. So 4 subtract 2 is the exponent. 4 subtract 2 is squared, and you square 1.5. And it doesn't say round to the nearest tenth, so you need the whole answer. All right, great job, great job, great job. If you have any questions on that, please ask me on the Google Meet. And let's move on to our new stuff. And when I said let's move on to our new stuff, that's not what I meant at all. I meant let's move on to the last 2 questions I gave you on Tuesday. Find the x and y intercepts, and then we're going to do that anyways. I don't have to tell you for ordered pairs for x, y intercepts. So for this one, the x-intercept, y equals 0. So wherever you see a y, you put 0. That's how they end up getting this. And then you subtract 7 on both sides to get 4x equals -7. And then you divide by 4. Remember, we talked about when a number doesn't divide evenly into 4, you just see it as a fraction and reduce it if you can. And this, you can't reduce this one, so believe it or not, this is the x-intercept. I'll accept that answer, but you might see this on multiple choice, so make sure you know how to do that. How many 4s are in 7? 1. How many left over? 3, and keep the same denominator. That's a 0. For the y-intercept, that means x equals 0. They don't do a very good job of showing you what happens here. Not sure why I put x in brackets, but if x equals 0, y equals 7, and then write it as an ordered pair. Definitely want to get that one right every time. And over to C. And you know what? Let's see another way of doing this, if this helps you visualize it. When you find the x-intercept, that means there is no y term. So if you just do that, because it equals 0, that's what you have to solve. 4x plus 16 equals 0. And to do that, you subtract 16 on both sides and divide by 4. You get -4, Now similarly, I'll let you write that down if you didn't show your work. It's going to disappear pretty soon, so. Now, similarly for the y-intercept, there's no x part. But you can't get rid of this negative sign. This, remember, a term starts with a negative sign. And this is part of the term, negative 2y. So you get negative 2y plus 16 equals 0, exactly what you have here. And then you subtract 16. You can do it that way too if you want to. We'll talk more about that on the linear solving systems unit. So I'm going to cancel that, and I'm going to end up getting negative 2y equals negative 16. Divide by negative 2, or you can do it their way. Just don't forget to divide by negative. If you have a negative 2y, you divide by the number in front of y. So both the negatives and the y and the 2's cancel. Okay, so everything has to cancel except for the y or the x. Solve means find the value of x, does not mean find the value of negative x. And voila. Okay, so now I'm going to get you to work on your homework on page 16. I'm going to give you 10 minutes to do this x and y intercept. And hopefully you don't notice while I'm talking that the answer for B is right there. So let's keep talking about the weather like old men do. And isn't it white and snowy outside? And yet you can still see some green grass. Isn't that interesting? Not really. So let's, you got 10 minutes to work on that whole page 16. We did A and B, A and C, and you probably have a good start on B now. Remember, to find the x-intercepts, you set y equal to 0 and solve for x. To find the y-intercepts, you set x equal to 0 and solve for y. Please pause this for 10 minutes. And now for station identification. This is WWJO 960. Okay, so we have just one question to do before another homework section. And I'll give you 20 minutes to work on that. Let's read. Lisa purchases a new car for $20,000. The value of the car can be represented by the formula V equals 20,000 subtract 1,250 T, where V is the value of the car in dollars and T is the age of the car in years. What did we get? We sold our 2008 Civic. So it was 12 years old. You got $3,500, I think, and there was $300K on it. So it's not really a great deal to sell a car that old, but at least you don't have to put repairs into it. So we did buy our 2020 Civic, and the plan is to drive it for 7-ish years, and then Ocean can drive it when she turns 16, but you darn right she's paying for it. So get a job, Oshie. Okay, back to math. So we got to substitute in this formula for T. You can see that the input is T. And we sub in 0 for the first one. So V equals $20,000. I'm getting it from this formula here. Subtract 1,250. And in this case, RT is 0, and anything times 0 is 0. So the output is 20,000. What point is that? 0, 20,000. Let's go ahead and write that down. Next, same formula, 20,000 subtract 1,250. In this case, T is in 2 years. So in 2 years, it is worth, and if we punch that into our calculator, we get 17,500. Since 2 1,250 is $2,500. And so this point is 2 and 17,500. Let me just move this up. Perfect. So then I'm going to plot 0, 20,000 up. Looks like right here. And then 2 years, so that's right here, 2 years and 7,500. 2 to the right. Sorry, I put, it looks like a 1. That's where I'm going. So this is the 1, this is the 2. And go ahead and complete the table and plot the points. In the background, I will sing for you. We wish you a Merry Fishmas. We wish you a Merry Fishmas. Wish you a Merry Fishmas and a Happy New Year. Goodbye to you. Okay, enough. And you just punch that into your calculator. 20,000 subtract 1,250 times 4. 15K, 15 large. So that's 15,000. And similarly, so that's 15,000. And similarly, you get another 2,500 less than that. So 12,500. No, I like the question in B. What does the ordered pair 0, 20,000 represent in real life? So don't put ordered pair, don't put 0 to the right, 2,000, 20,000 up. That's not what the question is. So I'll let you think on that before I get to it. Okay, now you've thought about B, and I'll give you the answer soon. C says use the graph to estimate the t-intercept. Okay, well, t is right here, and where your graph hits it is going to be, I don't know if I should attempt this. You're going to draw a line. It's going to be a straight line. No, that's not very good. All right, keep laughing. Anyways, I have no idea where it's supposed to be. But it's going to hit your t-axis somewhere. So the question is, in real life, what does that represent? And what, and also says, what is the t-intercept? So hopefully you have a ruler And you can do it accurately. You'll need to do that on the test. I'll provide the rulers. And here is the answer. Okay, first let's go to B. It says, what does 0, 20,000 represent? Also known as the v-intercept. Go ahead and write that down. And it's the value of the new car. Okay, in 0 years, or 0 years old, it's $20,000. You could also say the purchase price of the new car. Star that guy, and star this gal. It says use a graph to estimate the t-intercept. So if you hopefully I got a graph similar to this, and the t-intercept is 16. All right, it's 16. If you didn't get to that, go ahead and make sure it hits 16. And what does that mean? Well, time in 16 years, what does that mean? Well, there's a big fat 0 here. It means your car is not worth nothing. So 16 years, car has no value. It depreciates and no one wants to buy it unless it hasn't been driven much. Quickly go to D before you see the answer. Anyways, okay, so I don't have the graph, but let's at least start this. So I want to look at after 3 years, just so you know what that is. That's 3 years. So you go all the way up until you hit the graph, wherever it is. Almost looks like it's right here, according to mine anyway. And then you go straight and it says $16,000. No, let's actually see what it is. So let's do E now. It says use a formula to punch in 3 years. Nope, that's actually 10 years. So on your graph with a line now, I want you to do the 10-year one. We're not going to worry about the 14 years. So somewhere around here, I'm no idea, could anywhere from $8-ish thousand. And let's punch it in the formula to see actually how much it is worth after 10 years. Which just means add a 0, so that's 12,500. So it'd be $7,500. And if your graph is perfectly perfect and straight, that's what you would get, and I'll show you as the answer. In 10 years, there it is. Go up to 10 and straight to 7,500. Okay, so far so good. I want you to do F and H. F and H, please. All of F and H. No background music. I'll give you 3 minutes to do that. If you haven't by now, go ahead and draw a line through 20,000 and t equals 16. That's where the line should be. Connecting the intercepts 0, 20,000 and 16, 0. Study Star. Okay, I ripped you off a minute, but I think that's enough time. And F, I still want the graph to be here on F. So in 5,000, when's a car worth $5,000? You go to the $5,000, hit the graph. Let's go straight down. Looks like 12 years. Half the purchase price. Well, the purchase price is $20,000, so you divide that by 2, and you get $10,000. Where's 10,000? Here it is. Hit the graph, go straight down. What number is that? 8 years. Bravo. And hopefully the fill in the blanks went well for you and makes sense to you. Original value of the car is $20,000. It depreciates, it goes down. It says subtract 1,250, so it goes down $1,250 per year, and there's no value after 16 years, excluding collectible classic cars. Super. What's next for you? 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9. So all the homework up to page 20. And this is why that handout is so long, because one question takes a whole page. And I'm glad I saw this. D says interpolate from the graph. So if you look at 4D, interpolate and extrapolate means estimate. Okay, so D says estimate using the graph, and interpolate means that the data will be within the graph, and extrapolate means the data will be outside of the graph, the numbers given on the graph. But both of them just say estimate, so you don't need to worry too much about those words. So you have 20 minutes to do this. And then we're going to have a daily quiz. So 20 minutes to work on homework. Now let me re-say this. No daily quiz. Maybe. But right now, 20 minutes work on homework. And if we have a daily quiz, I will give you 5 minutes to study for it. Please pause. Okay, as promised, daily quiz on Wednesday. And I'm going to give you 10 minutes to study. And Mrs. Jones, maybe just make that 5 depending on how much time we have left in class. The daily quiz will probably take 10 minutes in itself, and then we'll correct it in 5. So, but hopefully you have 10 minutes to study right now. If not, Mrs. Jones will tell you you have 5 minutes to study right now. If not, and we're right at the end of the class, then let's just write the daily quiz now. But hopefully we have 5 to 10 minutes to study. And I will pause this and let you do that. Ask me any questions on Google Meet that you have. Good luck. Okay, here is your daily quiz. Get a separate piece of paper or right on the back of your last page. Of course, you cannot look at any notes Put everything else away, please. Number 1, fill in the, sorry, the football game was on. Fill in the points, HIPW. Number 2, draw a line to the discrete variable and the continuous variable. Number 3, find the equation of that table of values. Number 4, what is the independent variable and the dependent variable for D equals VT? Doggone it, that's not going to work. Let me change this to VD equals, where the heck is that pen? D equals 12T. That's what I want to put. D equals 12T. Where did the tablet pen go? Okay, so number 4 is D equals 12T. And then number 5, find the X and Y intercept. Good luck. I will write it once I find the pen, but remember to change 4 to D equals 12T. You have 5 to 10 minutes to do this. There's the change number 4. And please pause. Okay, so here are the answers. Go ahead and correct your ordered pairs. -3, 1, 3 to the left, 1 to the right. 2 to the right, 1 up, 1 to the left, stay right there. And 1 to the right, 2 down gives you W. Discrete is a number of cars because it can only be measured in whole numbers. And continuous is the age of the car because you can have 2.5-year-old car. What is the equation? This is a good one. If you got anything incorrect, please correct it. And you may like your quiz mark if you have all the right answers by the end. What is the equation? Okay, so how does 2 get to 5 is what you're asking. So add 3. But does 3 plus 3 equal 8? No, it does not. Okay, you could multiply by 2.5, but no, 3 times 2.5 is 7.5, so that doesn't work. How about multiply by 2 and add 1? Is 2 times 2 equals 4 plus 1. Does 3 times 2 plus 1 equal 8? Nope. We'll multiply by 1 and add 3. Multiply by 1 and add 3. You don't get that either. So you got to keep going. This time you're going to have to subtract. How about multiply by 3 and subtract 1? So 2 times 3 is 6. Subtract 1 gives you 5. What does 3 times 3 subtract 1 equal? 8. What does 4 times 3 subtract 1 equal? And 5 times 3 subtract 1 equals 14. Okay, so that's how many nacho cheeses the muchachos eat. So multiply by 3 and subtract 1. Is it that one? Or that one? They both look right. The big number is n. Where's the big number n? The bottom one. Sorry about the arrow. Anyways, the bottom one is right. And that's what the equation that you need. This one is not. correct. Okay, number 4. So again, if you have something equals, think of y equals, so d equals y. Is y independent or dependent? Okay, so there's your d or your y, and then the other one, not including the number, because variable means letter, is independent. X-intercept. Means y equals 0, or you can just cross out the y term. And you get x equals -4. But please don't leave it like that. Write down an x-intercept like I asked. Give me a point, please. X equals -4 is a vertical line. This 4 to the left. I want a line. I want a point, an x-intercept. So you do need to write them in brackets. And lastly, the y-intercept is 0 plus 2y equals -4. And divide both sides by 2. You get y equals -2. And put 0 -2. And I give you lots of these. Check, 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 check. Okay, clean it up. Great class today. If there's still time in class, go ahead and work on the rest of your homework. Otherwise, God bless. Have an awesome day. Ha ha ha.